So this is coming up on birthday month. On May, not only is it my birthday, it's also the birthday of Say It For You. And it's the 19th birthday of Say It For You, which is an online, in-person, at the same time, marketing agency through content. So the theme today is lips. So I'm giving you some chocolate lips and a quiz about lips, because we are saying things. And really the name should have been, in retrospect, not Say It For You, but Say It With You, because that's the real goal. It's for us to really get into the head and the meat and the heart of the client, to express what they don't have the time or the verbal abilities, the writing abilities to tell the people that need to hear their message. So that's what Say It For You is all about. Here is our credo. We can create content based on a combination of independent research and interviews with you, your staff, your customers, people who know you, and we give the copyright to you because it really is yours. It's really individual to you. I wrote a recent blog based on an ad that I saw for Happy Wolf kids snack bars. And the ad said, real food has to live in the fridge. That was the ad. So the idea was that this is all natural. It's not the kind of thing that's made out of chemicals and artificial things, so that you can keep it forever and it won't rot. But real food has to stay in the fridge. So I took that idea and I said, real copy has to live in the fridge. In other words, it has to be original, it has to be new, and it has to be yours. So we're saying, wherever the product is being sold, wherever the service is being provided, that's where the content has to come from, what it has to express, and how it has to be communicated. A quick thing for the two people who were not here when I made this presentation last. I'm the mom of 3 sons, now recently a great-grandmother. So I've met this young man only by phone. My youngest son married a woman who already had 2 children, and so and then this young man whom I met at age 5 now has a 5-year-old. Wow. So this is so amazing. So here are my 3 sons and me in the middle picture. We are Jewish and we celebrate the Jewish holidays, keep the laws of kashrut, and visited Israel and lived in Israel for a time, 8 times. My one sister, her husband, children, 9 grandchildren are all in Israel, and the youngest of those grandchildren is now going into the Israeli army and wants to be part of the border police, which is interesting. So the last time I was there was a couple of years ago. So my own both charitable work, volunteer work, and hobbies have always revolved around dancing. So I am a former performing folk dancer, and we used to perform on the circle and for church and for civic events. And at the Children's Museum, we would put on plays in the form of dancing. I am a square dancer today and a ballroom dancer, and you see some of the activities here. Used to be a performing pro-am ballroom dancer. So you see me here with my teacher, pro-am, a professional teacher dances with a student. So this was us doing the cha-cha here in black, many, many years ago, obviously. And today, my dancing takes the form of a volunteer activity, because the new organization, now 4 years old, is called BOLD, Benefits of Learning Dance. And we teach ballroom dance skills to intellectually disabled young adults. And so here I am with one of the students. We perform at the Fishers Art Center. We sometimes do performances before the Fever Games, but mostly this is to teach learning. And learning, the learning of the steps itself is the goal, because that exercises the brain power and really the social activities of these students. So this is me when I'm not doing business. Okay, why are blog posts so important? I mean, does anybody read them anymore? What's so important about blogs as opposed to other kinds of content? And I remember when I first started, the way this whole thing started is that I met at a networking group called Circle Business Network, a gentleman called Chris Baggett. And Chris became the founder of Compendium Blogware, which was sold to Salesforce, making Chris a very wealthy man and a very important person. And he explained that blogs never die. That when you put a blog on your website, it stays there. It just gets pushed down into the background. So today, for example, is a Friday. Yesterday, I published blog post number 2319 on my own website. And that first one is still there. So all those are still there, they're indexed and you can find them. And they're using the same phrases, the same so-called keyword phrases. And so they're adding search power to my website. But more importantly, it's forcing me, in my case because I write my own, it's forcing me to think about my business, about today, not last week, not last year, not 10 years ago, but what do I have to say today? That's what blogs are really all about. So that's why I like that project very, very much. The overriding goal is presenting the client, who might be a business practitioner, as a subject matter expert, and then, importantly, one who cares. So you need to get that. When you read the content, you need to say, hey, you know, I could see myself talking to, confessing to, discussing with this person. You know, the real person has to try to come across. Remember that the majority of people who arrive at your website are going to be first-timers, so that thing that they're going to read is going to be important. Stories are very, very important. So think about stories that you can tell that bring out what you have to say. So connecting with the customer on an emotional level and making you human, because there's so much, whether it's written by AI or it's written by you, there's so much that isn't human sounding. It just really isn't. It sounds more like a promotion or an ad. It doesn't sound like it's you speaking to somebody. So where do these things go that I write and that my team writes? And I have a team of 3 subcontracted writers in addition to myself. And so where do these things go? So one of my longest standing clients, we're going into our 12th year of writing a weekly blog post, and I was actually introduced to this client through Steve. So this connection goes really, really deep. Rebecca Geyer's law firm was housed where Steve was, up from his office, and he introduced me to her via a wonderful email. And I started writing for her and getting to know her hirees and her other attorneys. And as you can see, we're now in 12th year of a weekly blog post about legal and estate planning issues. It's just amazing. I interviewed a couple of you and can do more. about what you do that relates to what she does, and that's part of what I do for her. But you can see that on the website, you get an impression of, wait, there's a lot of stuff here. Maybe there's something that fits me. That's the idea of where these things appear. How does it work? David Garrison, who was a member of this group and is just recovering, by the way, from serious surgery. So if you want to send a note, that would be good. I've been writing his weekly blog posts about reverse mortgages. And in 27 years of being in financial planning, I literally could not have told you what a reverse mortgage is. We didn't do it, it wasn't part of compliance, I didn't understand it. But David's mother-in-law happened to be my financial planning client in the business that was sold. And years later, in a financial planning meeting, I met David again, and he was doing reverse mortgages. And he said, I need somebody to write about this. And so I had to learn all over again, basically for the first time really, what this was and how to present it. And now, here we are. I think I just sent him number 500 and something blog posts. And he sends them out to financial planners. And that has really helped his business a lot, because it explains how this could be of use in today's market. How does it work? This was Jeff Jinks, also a former member, and I helped design and write his new website, and I want to quickly share with you. This was the letter that Jeff sent to me. It was a really precious letter. He said, I want to express my overwhelming satisfaction and praise for the work you've done for our firm. We engaged with you for review and edits to our website, and you also referred us to a new webmaster. The consultative approach you employed to learn about our business, research the existing site, and come to an understanding of what we really needed was refreshing and helpful. Many of the edits were needed because of poor grammar and the unclear wording of our message. Your edits were essential to the success of the site. We particularly appreciate how you only work with a single client in a given industry to avoid conflicts of interest. So I felt understood. I felt that he really got what I had been trying to sell. So that was a very rewarding experience. For LinkedIn, so I write articles myself for LinkedIn, both as Rhoda for my own business about marketing, and also as a board member of the Legal Resource Network, which is a marketing network for attorneys and accountants, and for those who provide services to them. So here is a content marketing Q-tip, number 28, so 27 came before this, and I post them helping readers see things the way you do. This is the kind of article that I could do for you, for every single one of you. An article like this on LinkedIn, then you can boost it to your audience, and you don't need to create a blog site. It's a very simple thing to do. You can do it once a month, you can do it, however often you want to do it. They can be longer or shorter. They can have videos attached if you want those. But the idea is that you have something to say to the people who need to hear it. So think of LinkedIn as a content marketing option. So here again is our unique selling proposition. Content is not created using AI. So do I use AI? Definitely. I look to see who else is saying what. But then I want to talk to the client, be there, visit with them via Zoom if they're out of town or out of the country, And I want to make sure that the individual approach is for them. Is it time consuming? Yes. It takes longer, it takes more involvement, but those very disadvantages are what we sell. That's what I have to offer, is something that is totally yours. Real content has to live in the fridge. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Rhoda? We have about 5 minutes still, so
Yeah,
if anyone has questions.
Please.
have you been taking a look at, writing style, especially as the crawling on the internet is migrating from traditional tools like Google to newer tools like AI? And the things that AI is paying attention to versus the things that Google used to pay attention to. Are you seeing any or planning for any of that?
Maybe. So a lot of things are under discussion, but I think that at this stage of my own career and work life, that I am more interested in kind of digging deeper. And so as say a few heads evolved in a practical sense, my 3 writers are still could do that because they're doing small businesses. But my work has evolved into doing a lot of work for attorneys and accountants and other practitioners. So my newest client is a London law firm that deals in immigration. So they are one of the leading U.S. immigration visa obtainers, if you will, and expediters for Irish and British executives who want to come here to either invest in or lead a U.S. branch of their company. So these are very technical, but at the same time, there's selling and content involved, and I am myself subcontracting to an agency that specializes in that. And yes, there might be some conversation that we can have about that.